What if one of America's most beloved country stars had a secret life so dark it could make him one of the most dangerous men in music history? For decades, Garth Brooks has been celebrated as the smiling, cowboy-hat-wearing king of country. But beneath the polished image, a rumor has spread that ties him to something far more sinister. We're talking about whispers of over 120 missing people, nearly 90 unsolved deaths, and a pattern so disturbing, fans have started to ask one chilling question: where are the bodies, G? Now, to be clear, this is a conspiracy theory, not proven fact. But once you hear the strange coincidences, the cryptic lyrics, and the unsettling interviews, you may never look at Garth Brooks the same way again. Because sometimes the scariest stories aren't about monsters in the dark. They're about the people we thought we already knew. The entire theory didn't start with police or journalists. It started with a comedian. Back in 2018, Tom Segura poked fun at Garth Brooks after watching a bizarre promo video the singer had posted online. Brooks' stiff smile and strange delivery gave Segura major serial killer vibes, and he joked that the country legend looked like someone who had definitely done it before. What started as a throwaway joke turned into something much bigger. Fans began digging into Brooks' past, comparing his tour dates with police records. That's when the phrase, "Where are the bodies, G?" exploded across social media, showing up on signs at concerts and going viral on Reddit and TikTok. But this wasn't just internet trolling. Once people started cross-referencing real missing persons cases, things took a darker turn. Let's go back to the early 1990s. Garth Brooks was everywhere, dominating charts and selling out arenas across America. But as his fame grew, something else began to get people's attention: disappearances and unsolved crimes that seemed to follow his tour bus. Take 1993, for example. In Indianapolis, a young woman vanished just blocks from Market Square Arena, the very night Brooks performed there. Weeks later in Chicago, 3 different women disappeared within days of Brooks' sold-out shows at the Rosemont Horizon. Then in Cincinnati, a college student's body was pulled from the Ohio River just 2 days after Brooks left town. At first, people chalked it up to coincidence. Big cities, big crowds, of course there would be incidents. But then amateur sleuths began building a disturbing timeline. Concert after concert, city after city, case after case. One fan claimed to have logged nearly 120 missing persons and 90 unsolved deaths, lining up with Brooks' performances. Coincidence, or something more sinister? Even police records show eerie clusters of unsolved cases in the same cities and weeks that Brooks toured, which only added fuel to the fire for conspiracy believers. As if the timing of the disappearances wasn't enough, people started combing through Brooks' own songs. And what they found gave the theory even more fuel. Take his hit Papa Love Mama. It tells the story of infidelity ending in fiery violence. A jealous husband plowing his truck into a motel where his wife is with another man. Harsh lyrics, sure, but here's the chilling part. The week Brooks performed that song live, a real case of murder by truck took place in Kentucky. Was it coincidence, foreshadowing, or something else entirely? Then there's The Thunder Rolls, a song about a cheating husband and a wife who takes matters into her own hands. The third verse, rarely played on the radio, describes the woman pulling out a gun. Murder, hidden in plain sight, wrapped in a country ballad. And Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House? That one was performed the same weekend a couple disappeared in Oklahoma City. They were never found. Were these just dramatic country lyrics, or eerie reflections of real-life tragedies happening around Brooks' tours? If the songs weren't unsettling enough, Brooks himself created a new persona in the late 90s, a dark-haired, eyeliner-wearing rocker named Chris Gaines. This alter ego came with an elaborate backstory: born in Australia, scarred from a car accident, tormented by tragedy. Fans were baffled. Why would the king of country reinvent himself as a brooding, mysterious figure? Some conspiracy theorists suggest Gaines wasn't just a character, but a cover, a mask for Brooks' darker impulses. A few even float a wilder theory. What if Brooks had dissociative identity disorder and Chris Gaines wasn't fiction at all, but another personality, one capable of doing the unthinkable? And here's the unnerving part. Brooks spent years building an elaborate biography for Gaines, far more detailed than most artists ever bother with. To some, it feels less like a stage gimmick and more like a carefully coded confession. Of course, there's no proof of that. But it added another eerie layer to the already growing whispers. Even before Chris Gaines, Brooks had moments that raised eyebrows. In 1989, when asked if he'd ride a bull for charity, Brooks laughed and said he'd rather kill somebody. It was meant as a joke, but out of context, it sounds haunting. Then there's the infamous Facebook video. Sitting alone in a hotel room, Brooks stares into the camera with a fixed smile, saying, "I want to post cool stuff, slick stuff, neat stuff, but most of it will just be raw stuff like this." He pauses, eyes unblinking. Fans described it as serial killer energy. Comedian Tom Segura wasn't far off. He once called it the creepiest thing on the internet. The unease grew. People couldn't shake the feeling that something about Brooks didn't quite add up. Fast forward to recent years, and real-world accusations have made the conspiracy even harder to ignore. In 2024, a former hairstylist filed a lawsuit against Brooks, alleging sexual harassment, assault, and even claiming he plotted to hire someone to unalive her. Brooks strongly denied everything and countersued for damages. Still, the accusations painted a troubling picture of power, secrecy, and intimidation. Even if the conspiracy of 120 bodies wasn't real, Brooks' carefully polished image had started to crack. Another theory centers on land Brooks purchased early in his career. When most stars would buy cars or mansions, Brooks spent his first big paycheck, $500,000, on 20 to 30 acres of raw land outside Nashville. Harmless? Maybe. But according to conspiracy theorists, missing persons cases in the area spiked shortly afterward. Some even believe Brooks buried victims on that property, hidden beneath the soil of his dream home. Of course, no evidence has ever been found, but the timing keeps the rumor alive. By this point, the theory had taken on a life of its own. At concerts, fans held signs that read, "Where are the bodies, G?" Online forums lit up with speculation, podcasts dedicated hours to analyzing timelines, and TikTok creators built viral threads comparing concert schedules to police reports. Brooks, for his part, has seemed both confused and angry. According to Segura, the singer even shows people clips of the comedian injuring himself on stage as karma for spreading the rumor. But the more he pushes back, the louder the internet asks, if it's just a joke, why does it bother him so much? And if the theory is truly baseless, why does it continue to spread across platforms, picking up more evidence and speculation every single year? So what's the truth? On one hand, there's no concrete evidence linking Garth Brooks to any crime. The theory could simply be a bizarre mix of internet sleuthing, coincidences, and the strange charisma of a country star who never quite fit the mold. On the other hand, the eerie lyrics, the awkward interviews, the lawsuits, and the chilling overlaps between his tour dates and unsolved cases make the conspiracy impossible to ignore. Maybe Garth Brooks is just a victim of the internet's imagination. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a story here that the world hasn't uncovered yet. Either way, one question still lingers in the minds of millions. Where are the bodies, G? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into music's strangest mysteries, make sure you subscribe, because the next story might be even darker.